esportsbets.com, the service where gamers will bet real money on virtual events. Only here, the best odds and widest coverage of games from Dota 2 to Hearthstone. We have over 200,000 users registered. Join us. Prove that you are the best versed in esports. Who will get the first blood? Who will take the first Roshan? Who will win the knife round? Participate in the race of predictors and earn real money. The more bids, the more bonuses. Reward for your first deposit up to $600. esportsbets.com. Foresight, passion, and calculation.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Things just got a lot more interesting as IG stay in it a bit longer and extend this series. They still need to win 2 in a row to take the victory, a difficult feat, but steps in the right direction.
Once again showing they can take games off of Vici Gaming. They managed to push them to a Game 3 yesterday, and well, not going to be fast grand finals, which is good to see.
Yes, absolutely. What are you thinking, Purge?
The big thing was just that Peel was countered so hard. The Sven was a really good hero against it. He wasn't able to use that overpowering illusion swarm thing that we've seen in so many other games, and Cleave just beats it, and it still farms really fast as well. He may not do a lot of single target damage, but Sven can clear jungle camps really reliably. He doesn't need a Magnus. He doesn't even need a Mask of Madness. He does still get it, but he can very easily kill the creep camps and then still participate really well in fights, especially with the Wisp.
This series is starting to feel like the battle of the offlaners for me. Game 1, we saw Ice 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 with a very dominant performance, and here in Game 2, that was all about Lua. I feel like you could sum up that game with one word: axe. He absolutely controlled that match from start to finish.
And it's crazy because we're seeing, again, the team who supports their offlaner a bit coming out on top. I mean, it's partly because of the draft. Again, the Wisp being such a key hero as a duo with the Axe in the offlane, causing all kinds of problems for Vici Gaming safe lane, but wasn't quite the same snowball amount of kills in the early game, but it just secured Axe a lot of good early farm.
Yeah. Go ahead,
Actually, the Wisp didn't even help that much in the early game. He was the first death in the game, so it was a polar opposite of the game before it, where the Wisp got the Axe kill or two, and then were able to snowball with that. So while I think Wisp is still a really good hero, and he did support the offlane, it was just Luo playing really well to control that game.
Yeah. At first it seemed like, oh, Wisp Axe, this might not work out quite as well. They didn't dominate in the first couple minutes, but it was right around minute 5, maybe minute 6, when that first real fight broke out.
That was when Puck TP top.
Exactly.
And
that was
wrecked
when
them with that TP.
Terrible for Vici, and that was when it seemed like, okay, maybe IG could have a quick victory here, and that game went on for a surprising amount of time, and I say surprising because of how far ahead IG were, and they still couldn't close that game out until 50 minutes plus. Sven was so massively farmed, and still Hao was able to give him the run around and keep him outside of the base.
Yeah, the Vici Gaming supports also got very farmed. They had a pretty good timing on the Earthshaker Blink Dagger. IG supports were actually not that relevant this game. I think Chuan helped out a bit as far as making the Axe's life easier in the offlane, but mid-game, we didn't see much from either the Aya or the Lina. It was very much a story of the 3 cores, the Axe initiations, the Sven, and the Puck being the big playmakers, which is kind of surprising. I look at this matchup, I was expecting more emphasis on the support play.
Yeah, absolutely. It seemed like the Vici supports got a lot more done. You talked about the Blink Dagger on ES, but Crystal Maiden had a very fast hand to Midas.
Now, Crystal Maiden got a lot of farm, but also didn't really deliver much with that farm.
Yeah.
Fast met Midas, started working on the Ag Scepter with a point booster, decided to go for a Blink and a Ghost Scepter instead.
Yeah,
Not sold on the CM pick.
She needs to accomplish all in the early game, and what she did was she went in the jungle, she got level 3, she put 2 into Aura and 1 into Frostbite, and then she shifted to the safe lane, and she did her best to keep Axe out.
Yeah.
And the good thing about that is that you get a lot of mana, so you can cast Frostbite far more than most supports can, but it wasn't really enough to keep Axe zoned out, and he still was able to have a good game. And then, yeah, she still got a fast Midas, but any stun is going to stop her. She almost needed to rush BKB, but if you get BKB, then your int pool's still a little low. You can't do a full cycle of abilities. It's like...
And they still had an Axe that could still interrupt it anyway.
Yeah, you need like an Ags and a BKB and an initiation tool for that to be amazing.
And a Ghost Scepter.
It's just... The hero's still a little bit weak. I saw the Midas and I was like, oh, maybe this is how you do it, but it just didn't work out at all, and she never got a big item out of the Midas, and the Midas didn't pay off, and maybe that should have been a Blink, maybe that should have been a Force Staff. It's hard to say. One
of the other big disparities across the 2 games we saw was the performance from Ice, and I would say that game, not entirely a poor performance because of misplays from him, but more so a rough game for Clockwork. We talked about that at the end of the draft. It was a 5th pick, sort of like the game prior, where we felt like, well, options are a little bit limited here. Just a rough game for Clockwork, you think?
The early game, by early game I mean first 5 minutes, I think went really well for him. He managed to contest the lane really well, prevent the lane from getting pull camps just by, I think it was mostly just body blocking it, maybe using the Rocket Flare as well, and as a result, Lina was level 1 when Clockwork was already like level 3.5, and it was going really well in lane. At the same time that Puck got the triple kill at top lane, Clockwork died in the off lane. We didn't quite see what happened there, but that was where things started to fall apart for XII. So it was his first death. Never really got anything going for his team. Never really set up any kills using the hook shot. And yeah, I don't know.
It was tough. I mean, what are you going to do? Gank a Puck? All he does is phase shift. He can orb outside of the cogs, and then maybe kill Sven, but they still have that stun plus Lina stun. As soon as the stuns end, they're just going to run away from you. I just feel like it was kind of a bad clock game, and as the game continues, Sven just starts 4-shotting you because you have all those chain stuns.
The Clockwork doesn't seem good against Wisp drafts in general, because if you gank the Sven, the Wisp is sitting behind.
True.
You're not going to kill the Sven. If you gank the Axe, then, well, the relocate in comes, and that's where the Wisp Sven were just cleaning up all over the place. So it felt like, like you say, just doesn't seem like there are too many viable options for Clockwork to be ganking.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I want to talk about this Puck build a little bit. We saw something maybe slightly different. He went for the the Blink first, obviously. Went for the Aghanim Scepter. Ended up getting a level 1 Dagon, but instead of leveling up the Dagon, he opted for the Refresher Orb. Talk to us about that build a little bit.
I think it's completely worth it because a level 1 Dagon costs about 2,700 gold. A level 5 Dagon is about 8,000 gold or something crazy like that. It's 5 more recipes, which is like Yeah, it's like 6,200 gold to go from level 1 Dagon to level 4. So you're only doubling the damage. The cooldown becomes much lower, but you can buy other items with that. And if they do get BKBs, then your Dagon's kind of wasted anyways. So by just getting Dagon 1, he had a little bit of extra burst if he needed it. And the Ags helped hold people down. It lets you stun through BKB. So even if they bought BKBs, it's still decent against them and still leaves you a lot of gold for other stuff.
Now, PL can doppelganger out of the Dream Coil, I guess.
Did he? Okay.
I'm not. Do you know if you can? I assume
sure.
you can, but
I
don't feel like the Ags was that important of an item. At that point, Puck was just so farmed it didn't really matter what he got. I think Dagon 5 he could have even snowballed and gotten more kills out of, but
Maybe.
I don't know. I just remember looking at this thing like, oh, Ags is nice. It's a luxury item. I think Dagon 5 would have also been a nice item. I think you could have gone Necro 3. You could have gone just straight Refresher.
Yeah.
It got to a point where it didn't really matter what he got. The 3 cores were combined for 40 kills, 8 deaths, and 62 assists on IG.
Yeah.
Every single core hero delivered massive results, and just 8 deaths between them. With those stats, it was just insane what they were bringing to the table.
We saw some serious luxury items come out that game. Even the Refresher Orb on Axe, that tends to be a potent 6-slot item, but you have to get there, and Luo certainly had the farm for it. So where does that... Oh, here they are, on their way back in.
They thought about walking past.
It's okay, guys. You can walk in our camera shot. We don't mind.
It's okay.
It's all good. Come on, Daryl. Walk on by. There he is. Look at him. Just look at him.
Oh, that's going on Reddit.
I know. That was a reject.
That was dangerous. Probably the most dangerous play made all day.
Especially with him. Like any other player, like I'm good. But
they would have awkward giving
Daryl,
you a him. Yeah.
Okay, so
mistakes were made. Bring out the chat wheel.
Where does that leave us coming into our next match here? We saw 2 games.
I hope Ice feeds again.
We're reasonably one-sided.
That. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Daryl.
I don't know if he can hear you.
He's in the zone. He's already boxed you out. So first pick PL, as you guys talked about, pretty counterable. It was first pick for Vici, so we'll see if IG gets first pick this go around. The rules here for this season of Starladder, it doesn't automatically switch side and pick. It switches who gets to choose, so it could potentially be same side, same pick, depending on how the toss worked out and what these teams want to do. So we're not sure who's going to have first pick this go around.
Do you guys think the Sven would have been as big a problem if they didn't have the Wisp? I feel like the Wisp was almost... As much as the Wisp I don't think played amazingly, the relocates were a big threat.
The Wisp helps a lot for Sven, because again, like I said, he's hard to... not the best chasing hero. He can be shut down, slows will stop a lot of his initiation.
He did get a blink, but...
And the blink is there, but the important thing is that you can be farming the whole time. Fight starts, TP in, you're already there, then you can blink on top of where you want to go. If you have to always be with the team, your farm rate decreases a little bit. I mean, Burning had 800 GPM on a Sven. That's amazing. You didn't even have to buy a Midas for that. You really don't need a Midas for that hero to work, and it was really the Wisp that helped him facilitate that.
I would say it was almost an indirect way to help the Sven by working so well with the Axe early on to get that momentum, take the heat off of Burning so he could sit there and farm early on, and then later he had that little bit of an edge that the Wisp helped secured by helping out the other lanes.
Yeah, he didn't need the Wisp, but I think it helped definitely. And the attack speed's always good, especially when you're trying to kill a billion illusions.
In the heat of a fight, it didn't feel like he needed the Wisp, but to get to the state of the game where IG were so far ahead, it felt like the Wisp did play a key part.
Yeah, I think so too.
So are we thinking there could possibly be a Wisp ban? We haven't seen that hero prioritized as a ban, but now 2 out of 2 games.
Second stage ban. It's been picked up 3rd, 4th, hasn't it, so far in both those games?
It was picked up 4th in the first game and 3rd in the second game.
Yeah. So I think it's definitely a second stage ban candidate, but I don't think it's a first 2 ban.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the issue is that they went all in on the PL first pick. They're like, this is a safe carry. All the other carries we're having issues with, but IG immediately figured it out with the Sven pick, I think, and it's not necessarily something you can go all in on right away.
Okay. Other thoughts about the upcoming game here? Vici still just 1 victory away from taking the tournament.
They can still do it, and they'll get stomped 1 game and they'll come back and win the next one. That's been all the top teams. Usually, a lot of the top Chinese teams seem to have a lot of resilience in that way. Like they're not that weak to morale issues. I mean, they almost lost to Cloud9, and IG maybe lost the first game, but they came back really hard in the second one.
And Vici Gaming is a team who will, that game they first pick PL, next game PL may go completely ignored, and we see a Storm Spirit or something completely different. Like I just see Vici Gaming as a team who can adapt and just completely change track 1 game to the next.
I was exactly about to say the same thing. That was one of their more conventional drafts, actually. If you swap out that CM for a Lion or one of the supports you see more commonly, that's a very standard draft. That's much more standard than what we've seen out of Vici. So maybe this is the time to do something a little bit crazy, as they still have a little bit of buffer. If they lose another game, it'll come down to that final match.
So curious to see what Vici Gaming will be getting this time around. I think they've got first pick. They are playing on the dire side once again. So I imagine that means they have first pick, because typically it's been teams preferring Radiant side or first pick.
Yes, absolutely. There were some stats thrown around either yesterday or the day before that second pick on Dire is the highest win rate over the past few weeks in terms of the combination of pick to side.
It's also like very rarely. I think that's probably a smaller sample size of those games.
There is, yeah. That's a very recent trend over the past 3 or 4 weeks, I think. So it's not the smallest sample, but just one of those little tidbits to keep in mind. All right, well, we are loading into the next game. Again, we're going to have to wait for the spectators, so they'll hold us in suspense for another minute and a half as we get into this next draft. But
Is it the same 4? They're like,
Always
maybe I'll
the
load
same
this
4.
time.
Every game, it's like 18 of 22, and 4 of them are just not loading in.
it seems logical to just have them cast off the ticket to me, but to each his own.
Might be different. You never know.
Yep. So, all right, a little bit of patience, but glad to see it wasn't a blowout in the final series. Always good to see it go, maybe not the distance, but at least into the 4th game here and make things a little more even. These teams, although not totally evenly matched, it feels like they can just, either side can take a game off each other pretty consistently.
Yeah, I think the fact that I think Vici Gaming to me is the stronger team, but when you know your opponent really well, sometimes like IG, it just gives them the ability to actually tackle Vici Gaming a little bit better. It reminds me a lot of what's been going on in the Southeast Asian / Korean scene with like Raven MVP Phoenix, where Rave's a better team, but for whatever reason, you verse a team who knows you well, and sometimes you can just stumble a bit there. Happened with Orange and MUFC, where Orange, again, was the better team if you go back to that like 2013 period, but playing against a team who knows you well is always really challenging.
All right, and with that, our draft is underway, and we're about to hop on in. Let's see if these initial bans are some familiar faces or if these teams start to switch it up just a little bit.
Well, I know that first hero. That's a Storm Spirit guy. He's not going to be playing in this game. And that hero also not going to be
Storm Spirit Sniper.
I wonder if we see the same full bans, the Shadow Fiend as well as the Queen of Pain.
Maybe the idea is that Shadow Fiend is a core that doesn't have super major counters. He can adapt to a lot of different things, so he's the safer guy to start your draft around, whereas in last game, forcing them into the PL was leaves for openings.
So it's basically right now, if Vici Gaming ban Shadow Fiend or Queen of Pain, IG will ban the other. If Vici Gaming don't ban it, then IG also will not ban the other one, because then they guarantee they get one. But I feel like this is, again, going to be a Shadow Fiend ban, yeah. No surprises.
I'm so disappointed we haven't seen Quap much, because I'm like, I respect the needs of the hero and that he's good, but I just want to see him played once. I just want to see one Quap stomp, and then I'm happy, ban him the rest of the tournament.
We had one game with Secret where S4 played Quap.
Okay.
Whereas the safe lane Quap Secret, it was the game they came close to beating Alliance.
Okay, I was definitely watching the game. I just don't remember it.
Team Secret,
memory.
very forgettable this tournament.
There's been a lot of Dota jam-packed into the past few days, so it all starts to blur together.
That may be the
eventually.
only Queen of Pain game, at least on the mainstream.
Yeah.
So they did PL again.
Vici going to stick to their guns here, not afraid.
I think if it gets, IG go with the same opening, the Axe Lina, without a doubt you see bans onto heroes like Sven, just because of how important it was in game 1. If not the Sven, the Wisp.
Do they axe Sven here, though? I feel like Lina was not necessarily the strongest part of their draft. It's a really good hero to have against PL because you can do damage illusions.
I like this. I like this better.
That's a lot safer.
If you get the Axe Sven, then the Wisp gets banned out. Your lanes can suffer. Maybe you go for like a Dazzle instead to help the Axe.
But this time they get someone to deal with the Wisp a little better. Witch Doctor, one of the classic supports that pairs pretty well against the Wisp. Compliments of that paralyzing cask, bouncing around. Physical damage against the low armor energy ball.
It's so interesting watching them do the same picks, but slightly altered based on what they're expecting their opponents to do with the previous game's research. It's like, oh, well, you picked Lean in this case? All right, so we'll ban that. I feel like we're going to predict all the bans here based on last game's picks.
Yeah, it's like for IG, they won the last game, and so it's like, kind of you could say, oh, they'll just pick the same 2 openers, but if they don't pick Wisp, it's getting banned out. So,
So with Sven potentially getting banned, I think that would be something that does still beat Phantom Lancer, but if they ban it here, I feel like there's going to be other stuff that's decent against the hero.
The Tiny, it was the other big cleaving hero.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. Tiny would work, and they actually don't ban it, so Ember Spirit they feel is more of a threat. It would be worse than what the Sven was.
Just the maths on that, when you're cleaving off those illusions, taking bonus damage, that to me is actually a big problem for PLs in general.
And I feel like PL wouldn't be able to do anything to stop the Ember either. You can slow him, and that will mean his ultimates don't go very fast, but you can always escape. So I think I agree with him there. I guess Ember Spirit would be a bit more worse.
So they leave both Sven and Tiny there. And the other thing is, like, if you ban one, the other's still available. I feel like they're somewhat comparable. Both can snowball pretty hard. Both just amazing at sieging base once they get their items up. So
maybe the next thing to look at is what support does IG need that will replace what the Lena did. Need a lot of AoE, preferably a stun.
Lion's still in the pool.
Yeah, burst damage as well is key here, because you need burst damage to get people in the threshold for Axe to get the Culling Blade off.
Exactly.
That's where Lena did play a kind of important part in the mid game last game.
Maybe one reason the puck could have gotten a Dagon 5 instead.
Yeah, she was also key for follow-up. I mean, there are a lot of Axe initiations, but even without the Laguna Blade, just the follow-up stun to keep that PL locked in place a little bit longer certainly did play a role.
I wonder if we even see like a puck once again for 430. A lot of the mid laners being banned out, and
it's good against Witch Doctor. Can ulti him, you can silence him. Can dodge his ult for a bit.
And for Vici Gaming, Super was on Zeus, and I feel like that was a pick that did just not pan out at all.
That's what I thought too, but did you look at the damage stats at the end of the game? He was number 2 in the whole game.
But how much of that damage is actually happening at the right time? Because if you're throwing out your ulti and just spamming it to scout, it goes back to when people talk about using Zeus during calibration MMR games. You get these ridiculous damage stats, even when you're not getting kills or actually contributing.
Cast one Chain Lightning, you do 100 damage to every enemy hero just from static field. Yeah.
And at some point, the damage is maybe too spread out. I'm just not convinced you can look at damage alone to say, oh, he played well, because if anything, he actually died way more than he should have been.
Ooh. Okay, well, IG showing some confidence with a third pick puck, but now Vici, they grabbed the Tide Hunter, the prize gem from Game 3 of the winner bracket finals we saw yesterday.
This is good.
Do they even safe lane the Tide to guarantee the PL's farm a bit better, or is that...
Why would safe lane the Tide and do an aggressive?
Well, because if you're worried about like a Wisp Axe lane, like last time the Wisp, it didn't destroy them, but it definitely slowed down the PL farm a bit, or...
I think PL's okay versus Axe. Like I said, really high armor, so the spins don't do that much. You have a pretty spammable nuke. If you're really in a bad spot, you can doppelgang out. I think PL's okay versus Axe, considering he's a melee hero. I think just putting the Tide into your team fights makes a big difference, because every time the relocate comes in, you can just pop Ravage and it's going to hit Wisp and lock him down for 2 seconds, and you could potentially just burst him down right there. So I think Ravage is something they really needed in their team fight. As long as Puck doesn't segment the Tide, I think they can have a better shot of not getting so behind, because it really was about the advantage that IG got with those early ganks.
Oh, it's not going to be Sven, it's Tiny this time for IG.
Oh, another change of pace.
I'm wondering...
They picked Sven last time, and Tiny was banned, I believe, as the fifth ban.
They fourth picked Sven last time. It was the last pick.
Tiny was the Tiny available last game? I thought it was.
I think it was.
Yeah. It was available.
So a little interesting that they changed it up. I guess, both Tiny and Sven by BKB, so I can't see why. Maybe Tiny's better against Tide.
Tiny has more magic damage and burst damage, which is where he does match up better against the Tide, especially in lane. Has more kill potential in the Tide. Because they're running this dual lane where they can't really zone out a Tide too well. So I think the Tiny is considered just a hero that won't give Tide too much farm in lane.
I think he's worse against PL because his damage is not as pure. He does cleave, but his attack speed's a little low. He does have Craigie, which is pretty good. I guess he's more defensive. Sven is more offensive, but they kind of fill similar roles. And Tiny has more magic burst, like you said. So good versus Tide. You can also initiate with him, throw Axe in, pre-Blink Dagger, or even in a busy fight, you can toss him in. That's kind of cool too.
Yeah.
Vici Gaming going to go for the TA as their mid laner. A TA versus Puck mid matchup.
Classic favoring TA, I believe.
Yeah.
Axe is pretty good against TA, relatively. You can burn through charges fairly fast. But
yeah, not bad.
Avalanche really good as well, I think. And some minus armor there to go with Tide's Gush, perhaps. Might see some people dying fast.
Yeah. Probably see a BKB from the TA. The Super TA normally just builds in those very defensive items like Yasha, BKB, before he even considers going for like the DPS of a Desolator, but...
Okay. That'll be pretty good.
Disruptor, the final ban now for Invictus Gaming.
They just need their secondary support to go with the Witch Doctor.
Yeah.
Disruptor annoying because of the Wisp. Tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could go aggressive, like a greedy support pick if they want. Witch Doctor can play pretty serious 5 if he wants to. Do we got a Lion? Lion's still in the game?
PL doesn't transition amazingly well into the jungle. You definitely can, but it's not like a Troll or a Juggernaut, and that's where you may not want to go for a or if you want to go for a support to get some farm, something like a Sand King where it can just jungle up may be a better option than trying to get someone who takes over the lane from the PL.
That's true. PL's really not that fast of a farmer now because the illusions only last like 5 to 7 seconds or something like that, so it's not as abusive as it used to be. Although you could transition his build a bit. Ninjas and Pajamas, for example, would build Vlads on him every game and just put him in the jungle that way. But it seems like the Chinese teams much more favor him sitting in lane, grabbing last hits that way, and then picking a jungle support instead. So maybe they'll go Sand King. I think that would be okay in their draft. Another AoE for the Wisp Tiny.
It depends a bit on this last pick from IG. If you're expecting an aggro dual aim like a Wisp Axe, you may not want to get someone who's too greedy in the jungle.
That's true. And it's another melee here. It would be 2 melees versus Axe.
When they see this support, they'll have a better idea of what they can get away with as far as whether they can go for a greedy support or they need a strong laning duo to go with Witch Doctor.
The benefit of first pick?
Lion's still untouched. That's another crazy thing. Both teams need a support.
Vengeful Spirit still lingering around if they want another stunner.
I think for Vici Gaming, Venge is especially good. You can swap heroes out of the Blink Call. Also, Sinjaz is nicely with the Tide when he wants to go for the Ancient stacks. You can just use the Wave of Terror to help things out. Roshan with TA plus Venge is really strong. And
absolutely.
It used to be Vici Gaming's like first pick. All throughout DAC was always the first pick or first 2 pick Vengeful Spirit. So I think they're more likely to be going for the Venge, but still not convinced they will pick it. But I think it's good.
With all those things you said, though, you could just get any other support and buy a medallion, though. So you talked about, except for Ancients maybe, but taking Roshan very rapidly, you can just get a medallion. And
well, not the Lion, but a similar flavor in the Shadow Shaman. And Vici switch it up with an Enigma pick. I believe the first one we've seen on the main stage this tournament. A bit more greedy, but massive team fight for Team Vici.
The disables on Invictus Gaming are a bit weak. We've got Avalanche, Shadow Shaman nukes, Puck ulti, and Silence, and that's about it. He should be pretty safe from Black Hole, with the Black Hole. Especially if he gets a BKB. And also, if you see the relocate coming, Blink Black Hole is another option. Hopefully
this
it's not a solo
has
Wisp.
got to be one of the least aggressive Vici Gaming drafts all Starladder Season 12 log.
Do you really think so?
Definitely.
Don't you think they can push and stuff? I mean, they can shift Enigma really early, get a mech, maybe take the tower.
I mean, they can group up like 15 minutes in to take towers, but they're not going to be ganking early. FY and Fenrir are going to be playing very passively as far as the lanes go, like looking to secure farm for the mid game.
They definitely can't gank mid. So
and TA is not a ganking hero as well. TA is a let's sit mid and just
especially
farm
not versus
away.
Puck. Like, there's no way they're going to kill Puck mid. So maybe early tower pressure, but I guess you're right.
I look at this game and I'm just like, I don't see Vici Gaming getting more than like 1 or 2 kills in the first 15 minutes at best. And that only comes if Enigma decides to hit level 6 and go for like a smoke gank with Black Hole.
Or they do a Ravage shift or something like that.
For IG are going to be the aggressors this game, with the Wisp Axe potentially, if they want to try and contest the farm of the Enigma especially.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how IG set up these lanes. If they do that 2-1-2, if it's a tiny Wisp mid, I think unlikely, but well, a change of pace. So, with that, folks, we're moving in to what could be the last game of Starladder Season 12. Vici still 1 victory away from taking the tournament. LD and syndereN, take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's Vici Gaming still leading the set, 2-1 in the best of 5 against IG. But it's IG who have a bit more momentum here, Sin. They came off of a rather dominant showing in that game number 3.
Yeah, and Vici Gaming, like the panel talked about, have really changed their approach. The only thing that carries over from the previous game is the first pick PL. All other 4 heroes, new heroes compared to last draft. And Enigma, the first pick for Vici Gaming in the first Enigma pick for them in the tournament. This might be the second Witch Doctor pick from them in the tournament. Feel like we haven't seen that much. Second Tidehunter pick as well, I believe. They only picked this against IG yesterday in the 3rd game, and really looking to change it up here.
Well, IG will invade this Vici Gaming jungle immediately, and we may have a clash. XII just marches in. They want to focus the Wisp first, but for now, Luo's in good position. Avalanche comes out. A big scrum, but nobody falling just yet. Orb forward. XII has a salve. I don't know if you want to commit too much. It's Faith, who may go down first. The body blocks. One more auto attack. They get him from Fenrir, and surviving through it all was the Tidehunter. Heals up with the salve, and now they chase on to Burning as well as 430, but there is basically no lockdown here. Orbs out and should end up surviving, so they defend the jungle, Sin. They don't let Vici Gaming, or rather IG, get any wards down, and they walk away with the first blood. Really nicely done by VG.
That's the best they could have hoped for in that opening. Avalanche.
And they're not going to let Chuan even get that bounty rune, so his bottle will be delayed a little bit.
The IG lineup is fairly good at level 1 fights. I want to say IO is a little bit weird when it comes to level 1 fights. If you have a very good partner for it, Tiny is not good on level 1 for that. If you had something like, say, for example, an Ursa or a Gyrocopter in particular would have been amazing there, but there are other heroes fairly good. Puck is kind of nice, good base damage, and of course Illusory Orb very easy to hit on multiple targets. Shadow Shaman Shackle, one of the best level 1 disables in the game, and they still don't manage to get a kill. And like you said, no wards down, which means FY off to a good start in the jungle. And I talked about how Vici Gaming have 4 different new picks for this game relative to the last one. On IG, we've got 2. I think this is their first Shadow Shaman pick of the entire tournament.
Yeah, I believe
and
we saw
also the first Tiny. Like, really a lot of creativity here.
We saw one other Shadow Shaman pick. I'm trying to remember who played
Cloud9.
it. Cloud9, okay. And they had their shot at the Lion this game, who's a bit better at clearing illusions, although with PL it's less about clearing the illusions because he's always making new ones. So it gives them a little more push. Bottom lane. Looks like we may have further aggression here. Luo chasing out Ice, Ice, Ice. Is he going to go for those RNG tower auto attack spins? Doesn't look like it.
It's just such a classic Ice 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 build. He uses the salve in the level 1 fight, and now he has like 9, 10 tank ghosts.
He's going to need them too against this lane, that's for sure.
Yeah. They're looking to put out a lot of aggression here. As I'm hearing Maledict tick down, Ferrari actually, very rarely do we see Ferrari playing in the off lane. Wow, super.
Man, that shock. This is actually a pretty tough lane for TA. You've got the orbs to remove refraction. You also have the avalanche, which has multiple ticks of damage. So
4.
I don't think it. Oh, Ice, Ice, Ice. Trapped out again bottom lane, and it'll be a counter kill. IG, they strike back. They need it. Super not having too much fun mid. And with this end, it looks like they're winning at least 2 lanes here.
Oh, top lane Ferrari taking damage. It's going to be fine. How does he generally do when he plays off lane? He is a very talented and very experienced player, but
I can't even remember the last time I've seen 40-30
No,
off lane. I've seen him safe lane a couple of times, but very rare to see him in the off lane. I guess he is the main puck player on their team.
And he is getting bullied. I mean, granted, Ice 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 has died in the bottom lane, but he's level 3, almost 3.5. Puck level 1.
Now, of course, with IG doing a bit better in the safe and mid lanes, the trade-off is this jungle Enigma. And right now we see FY leading his team to a 1,500 experience lead. This is pretty much stock and standard Enigma. And of course, with the Axe, the Tiny, you can look to catch up with some stacks, but we are seeing no stacks in the mid lane, something that almost always is done with the Tiny Wisp mid. Do you think they should be stacking more here for Chuan, or do you need the Wisp here to deal with the TA?
When the wave is in this position, so far up the Radiant Cliff, I think he can just stack. That should be fine. And the time commitment to stacking a camp is like, I guess, 10 seconds, at least if it's the smaller of the 2 camps. So it's not really that big of a loss. And it's a pretty big gain if you manage to stack them a couple of times. So I would definitely agree. And maybe IG just aren't thinking about it because they don't play this lane so often.
There's your toss back mid lane. They have sentries. Super. Got to be a bit careful. There's another Chuck. Are they going to commit for this? They are. Chuan has the sentry ward, diving forward, toss him up and down. Burning gets another. Make it 2-1 here for Invictus Gaming.
A very nice kill here from IG. Surprised to see him not even trying to meld. When he was even like 300 range behind the tower, trying to meld might buy him like half a second before Chuan uses the sentry, and then at least they use the sentry instead of just dying.
Yeah, it immediately got killed by the tower at that point as well. So yeah, would have been a slightly more efficient play, I think. But regardless, I guess he was going down either way. So this dual lane working out. And normally you pick the TA mid. Part of the reason is that the hero is very difficult to kill against most lineups, but Super is struggling in the mid lane.
And he can't really get much help. They could try to rotate in the Witch Doctor, which is pretty nice against the... Oh my god, they're going to keep putting out this aggression, burning constantly with very aggressive movement on the lane. Super doesn't even get to go to the creeps anymore, it would seem.
And they really want to get Faith involved from the low ground, but Super knows about it. Avalanche, can they toss him back? Oh, there's the melt. Sentry, they were ready for that. Now dropping him down to the low ground, into the shackles. Nice combo play from IG, but Fenrir looking for a combo of his own. Maledict on 2. Here comes the turn. Black Hole finds Faith, and that's it. So actually not too bad for IG in the end. They don't lose the Tiny. Black Hole is committed, as well as the TP forced out. Is Burning really going in for this? He is. Throws out the Avalanche, and Luo wants to dive. He knows there's no Black Hole, but I think you just got to let that one go, Sind.
I think FY really wanted to get the Tiny in that Black Hole, else it's a complete waste. The guy he caught in the Black Hole was actually already dying to Maledict, so it ended up being a complete waste. Could have just Malefist for it, but...
Just the Witch Doctor would have been enough, it seems.
And does fail the Black Hole, so back to the jungle for FY for a bit. but they do get one kill. And How is free farming this time on the PL. He was challenged a lot in the last game. Vici Gaming actually getting a heavy advantage early on in farm. Their offlaner, the Tidehunter as well, 17 CS compared to the 2 of Puck.
To be fair, the Puck struggles a bit against this PL with any support. It's a very good spam lane, and Puck not the most sustainable hero, but that is beyond the pale. And you also have to consider that the Tidehunter can catch up with stacks. That's not something the Puck can really resort to. The other thing, Send, is I'm a little concerned for IG not having stacked the woods at all. They're running an axe as well as a tiny wisp, and I don't see a single double stack even. This is, to me, their primary means of coming back economically.
And I think when they pick Shadow Shaman like this, they really need to get him level 6 fast, else he's just going to seem like a liability in the mid game. There's so many heroes on Vici Gaming that just make quick work of him. He has horrible armor, low movement speed, bad health. He could get soloed by a PL at any time in any fight.
Well, they actually have one double stack, and that's something Ice has scouted out. I don't know if we'll really be too worried about IG.
Maybe they're doing Purges strat.
Maybe they are.
They're not stacking so it doesn't get stolen. The next previous level strat.
Oh, that's a Luminous strat right there. The previous level strats. I mean, they need it though, right? Like, sure, it's risky. Maybe Vici will steal it, but how are you going to keep up in terms of farm otherwise? 4 of the top 6 in net worth are on the dire side, and that was with IG having a pretty good run there with the 2 kills, but I guess at this point, they're really looking towards the Blink Daggers to turn the game. Luos should be coming still fairly soon, even without stacks to work with. Sub 10 minutes, it looks like, and maybe we even see Burning go for one as well, and then IG just run around the map trying to find kills.
Cask in the mid lane, gonna bounce a little bit here.
They're going to have relocate soon, though. These 2 mid are the ones that are having a good time of it. Avalanche toss, brings super down to half. And once the relocate comes out, we may see IG make their move. Where do you think they should go? Obviously, Tidehunter seems like a bad hero to gank with the Ravage ready. Is there an ideal target outside of him?
They're actually all hard to relocate on. All 3 cores. TA, they're already in her lane, so, well, what are you going to do?
Relocate like right next to him when you're already next to him.
You don't want to relocate onto a Tide. I don't even think they can kill him with a burst, and he can just either Anchor Smash and maybe escape, or if he really wants to survive, he can Ravage. And the PL. If How plays half as well as he did in the last game, he's probably going to be able to doppelganger Avalanche. It's not the hardest spell in the world to doppelganger. There's a little bit of travel time. You get a very clear audio cue when it starts.
Uh-oh, this could be trouble for 430, being pursued top lane. How going to commit forward? Uses the doppelganger to get in nice and close. Has another Lance, phase shifts there at 430. Well, he knows how to phase shift. He'll make it out. Luo, though, not so lucky. Will be brought down here in the Radiant jungle. And with that IG, thinking about a move on mid, but unfortunately, they did not have the relocate ready, or they potentially could have tried to turn bottom, but you're relocating to Black Hole Ravage, so I don't even know if they could have gone
Else
then.
they could have turned top and killed the PL there. He did manage to TP out. He was diving for the puck, didn't manage. TP's out at the same time Faith TP's in, so it turns out to be basically a TP trade, and he forces a rotation, so I guess he's okay with that.
I mean, that seems like the core idea of Vici Gaming's draft is you cannot really relocate on this team. You mentioned TA, yeah, maybe dies early game, but later on it's going to be tough to kill with relocate. Can't go on the Enigma because he'll Black Hole you. Can't go on the Tide because he'll Ravage you. Witch Doctor Cass can punish a relocate. It feels like any sort of standard Wisp movements can't really be made unless all the ults are on cooldown.
And the difference from last game is that the Wisp partner lane isn't doing like ridiculously well. They're doing well. They've got a kill on the TA, but this time it really comes at a price. They're going to have a very weak puck. They lost their bottom tier 1. And well,
are they really trying to
they
go on
lose
this?
more?
They are.
Whoa.
They have the blink call, but the relocate trapped by a black hole does end up getting canceled. Now the turn attempted. 430 looking to bail out his team and might just be able to do it. They bring FY low, dunk him to continue the fight, and now Luo needs a secondary call. Relocate ends. They go back to mid, and well, Luo gets no help. Left with the sinking ship will fall, and a 1-for-3 Vici Gaming coming out on top.
And that could have gone way worse for IG, but a very important dream coil that does come out here from the puck to stop the black hole from FY, else that would have been a disaster. They could have actually been 5-for-0 there if he doesn't get that coil off at the right point in time. So does salvage it a little bit, gets a 3-for-1. Not the fight they were really looking for. And get another drop in the graph here as Vici Gaming are closing in on a 500 GPM lead 10 minutes in. That's actually really massive.
500?
500
A whole?
GPM.
Oh, 500 GPM. Okay.
I think you're so smart.
I was going to mock you. Now I'm the one who looks stupid. But I want to ask you, Sin. We're looking at the Tiny here, and he's not going Blink Dagger. The main player who's played Tiny at Starladder has been Eternal Envy.
Yeah.
And he's gone Blink pretty much every game. Do you think there's any situation where you shouldn't go Blink? Do you think it's a niche pickup? What are your thoughts on it? Because Burning is just going straight into the Sags.
Oh, wait a second. I'm hearing a call. And
Potentially
this
a
is
dunk.
pretty dead tide.
They get the chop off, but Cask is going to bounce, and there's the Death Ward. Good damage done. They get the Shadow Shaman looking for more. Traps being deployed. Wisp too low in the river, not able to relocate to join in. Ends up dropping, and it seems Burning will walk away. So a 2-for-1 around the map.
Radiant's bottom tower.
Blink Dagger on Tiny. So in this game, he's the solo physical core. So you could count X a little bit, but it's not reliable, right? He does physical damage, but he doesn't really scale with the damage. So he's the solo physical core, which means he needs to make the decision, do I need to farm really much early, or is it more beneficial to my team to find a couple of kills early and try to maybe turn that into objectives? Like the Blink Dagger Tiny is not just for getting kills, but it's that the kills often end up with towers, which can then ultimately pay you back the gold you missed out instead of farming, right? In this game, with the relocate being as relatively bad as it is, I think you can make a pretty good case for getting Blink so that they don't need to relocate in, but they can rather just come with a surprise gank. I think that could be really nice. But the trade-off is then he needs to outfarm a TA and a PL and an Enigma who's farming very well in the jungle with a Blink Dagger. It puts extreme pressure on himself to make the gank successful. So I think it's an okay call here not to get the Blink. But it's more than situational, I would say. Blink is very often the best choice.
Luo, he went in for the Blink call, but How again was ready. Doppelganger dodges the call, and now the rotation for VG Gaming. That's another kill. How has just exhibited godly reflexes this game. We saw in the Storm game, he tanked a Lina Laguna Blade, was brought to almost 100 health or even less, and then ends up Bloodstone suiciding. He's playing life on the edge there. We've seen him Doppelganger and Manta dodge, call, and other stuns. This guy has been out of control, even in losing games. He is showing off some serious individual skill here.
I think you have to.
Did I jinx him? Yeah, now he might be dead.
Caster's cursed.
Caster's cursed. TP's right into 3, and, well, some serious individual feed there.
Wow, what a PL. LD.
So good. But,
I think he
typical
got
How.
caught by surprise. Or maybe he thought he would be able to shift Q the Doppelganger, but he got insta-stunned by the Avalanche. And actually, you still need to turn to cast the Doppelganger. And he's facing the wrong way maybe there when he TPs in.
Yeah, he doesn't really want a Doppelganger on top of them, so.
I will agree with you, though. He is playing an exceptional PL. Oh, Luo was thinking about it there. It doesn't go in. He's playing an exceptional PL, and you need to have this kind of player, in my opinion, to make it worth the overall first pick. He needs to be this good at the hero. And, well, apart from that death he just got thanks to you, he's looking good.
Sorry, How. Well, what's the next step here for IG? Sin, they have taken 1 tower, currently trailing by quite a bit, 5k gold, 3 to 4k experience. Can they be forcing a lot of fights, or do they need to be waiting for better opportunities?
I don't think either team has a big enough lead, but I think VG Gaming has the feeling that they're benefiting more every single minute by just farming. So maybe IG are feeling some sort of... maybe they feel like they immediately need to do something. It doesn't look like it, though. They're also going to go back to farm a little bit here as Burning. How far is he away from that Ag still? Okay, he actually almost has it, so he's looking pretty good. They will drop the Mass Serpent Wards here. I still think they need to be careful. I don't know if they're going to get this tower even.
Well, it seems like they want to bait the rotations out. Luo could have gone in, but he is not so interested.
He will
Okay, now he does, but Ravage is ready. Connects on 3. Follow-up can come from the black hole. Where is the Enigma? For now, top lane kept busy. Seems they don't need him. Death Ward brings down the Tiny, and now the Hunt Torch Chuan. Ice is fairly low in his own right, though, but How arrives as well. Comes in with the Lance. I think he lanced a creep, or an illusion there, but still going to chase out Chuan. May get the kill anyway. Tether cooling down, but nothing much to tether to, and Chuan 2 will fall. That's without the black hole, but ends up being a 2-for-1 overall.
Soul Ring build-up. Interesting. I think this is the first time I've seen this itemization on a Shadow Shaman. It's common on quite a few supports, but Tranquil Boot Soul Ring on that hero is... I mean, it's nice. He has very high mana costs, and all of them synergize fairly well with the Soul Ring. You get 150 mana. Shackles cost 150 right now. Other Shock 160, so it's pretty good, but a little unusual. But VG Gaming, they do end up being the team to claim a tower.
Fast Ags for burning, 15 minutes. Not the fastest ever, but considering that mid lane was so-so.
On level 1 grow.
Yeah. Well, no, he looks really dumb when he's got no points to grow.
Yeah.
Then he's like, can somebody carry this log for me? It's just a little too heavy. I need help. But at the same time, he's still getting out-farmed. Hal leads him right now, building towards the Diffusal Blade. Even the Enigma of FY. It looks like he's rushing the BKB after this mech, and he's also got the Mithril Hammer. This could really catch IG off guard. And the only quote-unquote counters they're going to have for this BKB are hexing and catching him off guard, or somehow calling him from behind when he black holes. But that is not an easy play to pull off. In other words, they don't really have a great counter.
No.
Could be
And
scary.
I don't really. I have a hard time seeing IG getting very aggressive on the map. It just seems like the way their lineup would usually work now is that Puck finds a Dream Call and then you relocate Tiny Wisp and you take a fight. But as we established earlier, it's very difficult for them to actually relocate in on any meaningful fight. Maybe they can find like 1 kill and that's it. And that's not really satisfactory most of the time. So maybe smoke is the way to go. I don't feel like they can just rest like this and just farm. It doesn't really benefit them enough, in my opinion.
For now, Vici Gaming are also very content with that type of situation. They're sitting back and farming. Ice, working towards what seems to be a blink. He's not going to go mech this game since the Enigma was the one to pick that up. So a departure from the Tidehunter style we saw yesterday.
Dire's top tower is under
I guess at
attack.
that point, maybe even considers the straight refresher.
Yeah.
If you get that, I'm hard-pressed to see IG fighting into double Ravage, potentially late game double Black Hole, and that's where, I mean, IG have good late game, but is it really good enough to deal with what Vici bring to bear? Getting out farm for now, and have to worry at some point about a Roshan attempt from Vici, it feels. Still the tier 1 up bottom. They've got good overall map control to try and claim it. And that's where maybe IG look to split push this top lane. Just avoid fights and also force Vici Gaming to choose. Do they want Rosh or do they want to defend their towers? But for now, they're not even doing that.
With Mass Serpent Wards down, I actually think they could take it for free, more or less. There is a Blink Dagger on Ferrari, which could cause them some trouble, but they just have so much defensive for their own. Like, if they keep the Tidehunter out of the pit, and if Puck tries to engage, Tide could just blink behind the Puck, ravage the entire team, and they could just mech with Enigma and take the fight from there. It seems fairly difficult for IG to do it, but they're doing a good job. They're not getting caught out. They're actually gaining a little bit on the farm here, it seems. So maybe they are benefiting enough from the situation, IG.
Burning has really caught up, to be fair. This PL of Hal was about 1,500 to 2,000 gold ahead of him, and now he's caught up. And
Yeah.
Sid, that's before the Mask of Madness. Something that we never used to see on Tiny. It was always just either treads, Ags, occasionally phase, or treads, and then drums, and then Ags. The old build for AUI 2000 when he was playing Tiny would be the Yasha and then into Ags build, but to see the Mask of Madness this early it's a relatively new development.
That item's just so good.
It's just so cost efficient.
It's like, you think about what it costs. It costs 1,800, so it costs 900, right? You can just sell it again later on.
Oh no.
So once you've earned 900 gold,
Trouble. Death Ward. Gushin, no way out for Burning. He's going to tank the full duration, Death Ward, and Mask of Madness won't help you there. Great move by Vici. Do they walk towards Roche? Do they go down mid? What objective are they searching for?
it's a free Aegis, I think. Pinging it out already here. There is actually no counterplay from IG unless they buy back both of their other heroes, and Vici Gaming don't actually know if the buyback is available, but I think IG wouldn't do it anyway. Like, if they buy back those 2 heroes, Vici Gaming probably just run out, and they're like, nice, we got 2 kills and 2 buybacks, let's just wait until later. Ping is coming out here from Burning on the Roche pit, but
They are going to have the Wisp up. Buyback is available, as you mentioned. Roche is about to fall here. Are they thinking about it? 430, orbs in, and does he try to steal it? Nope. PL's going to take it. IG, well, if you're not fighting, you got to get out quickly. Relocate is ready. Where are they coming? It's to the north of the fight where Hal is somewhat trapped. I don't know, actually, Faith the one that's trapped. Avalanche coming in. Black Hole, not available. He pops the stick. Now he can get it off, but doesn't seem to even need it. Bernie dropping. The Black Hole catches the last 2. FYH1 will be brought back by Relocate. 430 may not be so lucky. Orbing into the trees. Trap will find him. He blinks out. And it takes all of his inner Houdini just to try and survive and prevent the 4-hero takedown. What a
nice escapes
total.
from IG, only losing 3 there.
Yeah, you say only losing 3, and it's true, but Vici, they get Aegis, they get 3 kills, and this is time that Burning's not farming. He was
well.
just a 500 gold ahead. Now he's 2,000
gold
gold
down. It sound like IG came out on top because they definitely didn't know they're going to lose Chuan as well. But
yeah,
all things considered, like,
it could have been
fight,
worse.
That could have been terrible, but they do end up losing 4 in the end here as Chuan does get picked up in the bottom lane. They lost the Roshan. I really like what happened in that fight because it goes to show how powerful Enigma is even without casting Black Hole. I like bringing this up on occasion when Enigma gets picked, that a big part of the hero is not the Black Hole, but it's the fact that the threat of the Black Hole is existing, right? He moves in, he BKBs, and the heroes, they have to start spreading out. They're like, shit, we can't get caught in a black hole. They all run away, they completely lose their positioning from it and just get run down.
I've even seen Enigma games where Black Hole's on cooldown and the other team should know it. And Enigma BKBs, and like, you're just visceral, like, primal reaction is to run the hell away. Because, like, oh, fuck, I don't want to get Black Hole right now.
Yeah.
Even though it's impossible for him to actually cast it.
It's very hard. It's very hard in the heat of the moment to time that perfectly when the Black Hole came out. You don't have a player just sitting there pinging the clock the moment Black Hole starts. At least most of the time you don't.
Nice setup here by Faith. Gets off the Hex on a super. They can go in with the club, and they will. Burning pounds him into dust. But it may come at the cost of Luo's life here. Now trapped out, Gush is waiting for Malefice too. Cask, follow up with the Maledict isn't even enough. He still survives for a while. Now the Tether, damn, that's a tanky axe. And Luo just struts away, blink forward. Ravage was ready, but they don't want to commit it. Man, he's tough to take down.
Damn, that last Maledict tick dealt 2 damage.
It starts healing him.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, well, it looks like they might be claiming a tower as well. At least they force out a glyph in the bottom lane IG, but here come the TPs, and Burning gets the hell out of dodge. Faith not
Hex
so
TP?
lucky. Actually, yes, he will get getting out here as well.
Ice, no mana, and even if he had it, I'm not sure he wants to Ravage just for the support Shadow Shaman.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
430. They're starting to spread the map a little bit better for IG, it feels like, Sin, where, yeah, they're not convincingly winning team fights, but they're avoiding having to fight 5v5 into the Aegis. The big thing for Vici is waiting for the cooldowns, though. FY's Black Hole coming up soon. Everything else is ready. Are there any other big item pickups inbound? Refresher still a ways off, it looks like, for Ice. So it feels like IG are going to be able to just avoid this Aegis for the most part. At least that's the plan here, is pushing out the top lane and 430 summoning his inner rat.
It's the way to play for IG right now. I think this is the right call. If they try to fight, they're going to lose it horribly, I think. We've seen a couple of examples of that already, so split pushing a bit, waiting for the Aegis to expire, maybe getting Burning one more core item. I'm thinking BKB has to be the choice. There's just too many issues for him. Oh, well, that doesn't even seem satisfactory either. Like, he actually has a couple of pretty big problems. There's the Anchor Smash that's going to significantly hinder his damage.
Especially like for a Tiny, it's all just base damage, so you really suffer.
You really suffer from it. There's the Witch Doctor Death Ward, so even in BKB there's a lot of physical damage from both him, the TA, and the PL.
That's where it feels like...
And if he doesn't get it, he can't go in. He can even get Black Hold with a BKB. Like, there's actually no really good item.
Oh, Luo. He's just getting slaughtered by the PL illusions. Death by 1,000 pointy little sticks. I'll take him out. And they get the tower, too. But as you're mentioning, it feels like even with a farm Tiny, it's gonna, and even assuming he's not Black Hold or Ravaged or both, there's just so many other ways to deal with him. So maybe IG's only hope is to just fully split push this one. And I think one of the biggest items they could get, if that's the way they want to go, is some sort of additional lockdown and disable for 430. Normally I would say Hex, but it looks like he wants to go into an Ags here, Sind.
Yeah, it's nice against the Enigma with the BKB, of course.
Oh, God.
And a couple of other
enter Rat Man mode. Hal just charges in, gets a kill. Not much Shadow Shaman could do about it.
This map is quickly falling apart. IG kind of have to do something. It looks like the approach for Burning is to go for an AC. Doesn't like the idea of getting a BKB into the Dire lineup. Honestly, don't blame him. It feels like he needs a little bit of everything.
It's a better split push item rather than a combat pickup. He BKBs, and like you said, he gets Death Warded. They can still auto-attack him.
Let's go Kyrus, Deso,
Black Hole.
Tiny, and just go hit the building.
I wouldn't hate it. I mean, I think with the Masquerade is probably not the build, but...
As long as you get the Deso procs. Just attack speed.
That's true.
They're out of towers.
We're really digging deep with, like, what do they do? Because that is the matchup right now. It's just a very difficult one for IG, strategically.
Yeah, they didn't get enough out of their lanes, and this is what often happens in Dota 2 games when a team tries to play the same strategy twice. So they started out with the IO X again, so they showed their hand. Like, oh, this worked great last game, let's try it again. And VG Gaming, of course, this time will not let the same thing happen. They pick the Witch Doctor, and then they just completely adapt to the strategy. It's very similar to yesterday when they lost game 2 to IG, and then they just completely counterpicked the Spirit Breaker, and they just solved the problem on a game-by-game basis.
It feels like they're very good at adapting their drafts, at least with this lineup, whereas looking at DAC, I don't think they did a particularly good job at adapting versus EG. It seemed like EG was the team that had Vici figured out, and they looked somewhat IG-esque now, or they just kept on picking what had been working for them, but here comes the siege from Vici. A win here means they are your Starladder Season 12 champions. Pushing forward. Lance is coming onto Burning. Eking away his mana. Commitment attempted by Luo. Blink call off the mark. He needs to get out. He will retreat. But there's just not much deep push here for IG, and they're not split pushing. There's no relocate shaman wards. There's no Tiny threatening even a tier 1 or 2. It's just base defense from a lineup that feels ill-equipped to do it. The puck phase shifting, looking to back off, but they're just letting the tower fall. IG feeling like they have no hope of defending this, and it's after the Aegis expires. Still, Vici pressing in. No double Ravage even up yet. If they can't defend now, how are they going to defend later on? Diffusal coming out, Meld onto Burning, dropping him low, trying to maybe force out defensive relocate, and they will use it rather preemptively, I would say, by Chuan.
I think they had to, else XII could Blink Ravage that.
They're waiting right now for the Blink Black Hole, potentially, when this comes back. Let's see if they want to make the move. They don't really have to. Blink Call is actually out of Super. Now 430 engaging, only finds Ice. There's still a BKB Black Hole ready. Super brought low, and there goes FY. He found 3. Death Ward up bouncing. They're all low, not dead just yet though. Good job by Chuan keeping Burning alive. Maledict's there. Everything pretty much committed. Now the Ravage onto Burning. Hal's starting to clean up though. Kept healthy the whole time. Braining down Luo. 430 engaging. Can they turn it though? Hal's low. So too is Super. Fights into the wards. He's going to try to make his way out with the Doppelganger. The wards get confused, and in the end, everyone on Vici barely escapes. It wasn't as easy as it looked, though. They get the 3-hero Black Hole, and that overcharged Tethered Wisp really kept the Tidy alive a long time.
And it was very important for IG there that they kept Tide from blinking in after the Black Hole. Generally, what you see in a fight like this is, oh wow, it's a 3-man Black Hole. Tide is going to wait until the Black Hole is about to expire. He's going to Blink Ravage the same 3 heroes, and they all die. But Tidehunter Ice kept taking damage off to the side down here and wasn't able to really blink in. Was isolated off to the side, and well, they still won the fight, but IG hold high ground.
IG do hold
need
base.
to do it again.
I guess the one good piece of news is Vici Gaming do rely on long cooldowns. So if you're IG, you know you have 2.5 minutes or so before the Black Hole comes up, now 2 minutes. At the same time, though, Vici was doing that without the Aegis. And if they wait for the next Roche and then go while the Aegis is up, it's going to be really tough for IG.
And Al's probably going to have a Manta in the next fight, too. Like, he's so filthy rich. He went for the Scotty first. Manta only, what's that, 1,500 away? Maybe 2,000. 2,000 away.
Does he have any components? No, nothing.
So he's 2,000 away.
He could definitely have it suit. I mean, could he even look towards just the Butterfly, potentially? Diffusal 2 is an option, but well, for now, he's got a lot of gold, that's for sure. Still out farming the Tiny. Peel a good farmer, but I mean, we saw last game, a hero like Sven or Tiny, if they get enough space, could definitely outfarm the Peel. It's just, they're not stacking Ancients. They don't have the map control that we saw last time around, and they're not being allowed to acquire that gold.
Oh, Lua's smoke was broken. Vici pinged him out, so they got an important piece of information.
Oh, they're coming in. Luo, Blake, Call, finds 2, including FY, but the Death Ward's waiting for him, and there's 4 heroes surrounding him. Where's the backup? Burning comes in, arrives and looks to turn it. There's no Black Hole, so he can at least do something. Wards as well, but Burning just melts. The TA shreds him, and he ends up falling. Now the PL illusions march in. It's 5 dead for IG. Vici, what do you know? Roche is up, and they will happily claim their prize. And perhaps a Starladder Season 12 trophy after that fight.
Yeah, that was just an absolute train wreck, that fight. They are 15,000 ahead. I like this play as well. I was about to say, why don't they just go for Rax instead of Roche and wait? But they're going to get both. They just send 2 heroes into the bottom lane here. The TA and Enigma starting to push out. The other heroes take okay, they are like, fuck this, we're not getting Roche. Changed their mind and they're moving in now. So losing a little bit of time here.
I would love to see them be like, let's go bottom. No, let's go mid. No, let's just go throne. But they don't have the time for that. You know, one thing that last fight, he had Mascomatus on. I think he took a Meld Strike at point blank, and that was like half his health instantly gone.
And you know what? They 5-0'd them with no Black Hole and no Ravage.
Oh,
That's
God.
available now.
And that was a good blink call to initiate. The follow-up was
pretty
a
good,
little slow,
Barracks
but
are under attack.
it's got to be
Enigma got
psychological.
the BKB off before the blink call, though, and
That's
that meant
true.
that Ferrari couldn't really burst down the...
Speaking of Ravage, here it is. Phase shift was used, but doesn't really matter. Defensive relocate as well, but you can't run from the Black Hole. The Death Ward again from Fenrir. 1, 2, down, and might even be 3 at GG. Vici Gaming wins Starladder Season 12, the last championship for 6.83. What a showing.
This team is just so fucking good. It's really cool to see how the game is being played these days. I mean, I'm saying these days, because if you go back a week, our expectations going into this tournament, I think, were very different from what we got.
Troll sniper every game, and it's changed a lot.
We get very one-sided games some of the time, which, you know, they're not one-sided because there's like they're not one-sided for the same reason as people want to remember TI4 for, which was just like you death ball, you push, and you get a huge advantage, and the game's kind of just over. The teams just play super aggressively, like find a lot of kills early on. Sometimes the exchanges are fairly even, and then one team ultimately pulls ahead, and that's why we get games like this where Vici Gaming just strategically, I feel like, outpicked IG in this game. They took advantage of the information they got in the previous game. The game before, IG playing a great game. Like, these teams seem fairly evenly matched, and Vici Gaming are stronger today. They also had a 1-0 advantage. Who knows what would have happened if this was a full best of 5. I think IG could have maybe taken 2 more games. You never know.
Well, they do earn that advantage, of course, having taken them down yesterday. But with that said, I think the big thing that impresses me here for Vici Gaming is, as you see them holding the trophy, give them a round of applause, guys. Even Sin clapping here from the analyst panel.
Not you.
Yeah. Is the way they adapted with the drafting. I feel that was a bit of a weakness for them at DAC, but they look like a veteran poised team. FY's growing into his own as a drafter and a captain, perhaps. He's got Hal to add a little bit additional veteran insight, and he's certainly a chatty one, so I'm sure he's participating in a lot of the drafts.
Give me PL. Okay, Hal.
Yeah. PL. Or I
That's his contribution.
Or I quit.
He just keeps saying PL until they pick it.
Yeah. Just repeats the words PL indefinitely.
All
Well,
right.
Vici Gaming, they started 6.83 looking good. They finished second at DAC, and they've continued to look good since then. I mean, you look at this team's performance since TI4, and the only other team who can, I think, really claim that they've performed as well is EG. But Vici Gaming, they won ESL 1 New York. They won the Summit 2. They placed second at DAC. They now finished first at Starladder. And these are all big tournaments as far as having world-class competition. This team just has been monstrous.
Yeah, they're really good. And IG also a great showing from them. Of course, a bit more of a new roster than Vici Gaming. They did replace Black for How, but IG was put together with, what was the shuffle they did? They brought in Burning and...
They already had Chuan. Oh, they brought Faith back to rejoin Chuan.
Yeah. Maybe it was just 2 players, but people haven't been completely sure where to place them. Like, they're a dream team as far as players go. Of course, some very iconic players in that team, but they're showing that they've got it.
They definitely do.
They were a little bit on and off. They've looked on in this tournament, so
well,
they're good.
Congratulations once more to Vici Gaming, guys. They are your Starladder Season 12 champions. We're going to take a quick break here, but when we come back, we'll have the prize ceremony. Stay tuned.